Okay, so we're going to start off and using a 1/4 inch round bar, I'm going to bend it over the one of the anvil to make a U shape and make sure there's about an inch of space, enough space that I can fit the shank of the padlock through when it's on the chest. Off with my cutoff chisel. So I'm going to start using a 1/8 inch by 1 1/4 inch bar stock. I'm going to punch a round hole in it, or square hole, and use that for nailing this piece onto the box. So I'm going to enlarge the hole with my square punch and make sure my nails fit through it. Now I'm going to mark out the location for the lock shackle and mark it with a round punch. And now I'm going to punch the hole, flip it over, punch the hole from the other side, and then move through the pressure hole to knock out the plug. In this case, I didn't knock out the plug fully, so I just used my hot chisel to cut it off. Now I'm going to mark the location for the second hole for the lock shackle and use my center punch so I can have a dot. Then mark out and punch the second hole. now I'm going to make another hole, or square hole, for a nail to nail this piece to the front of the box. So now I'm going to measure the top from the hole and then measure about the same length from the bottom hole and mark it with my chisel, and then on the next seat I'll cut it off. So I've cut off the piece, and now I'm going to just use a file and make cones on the end of the shackle to go into the 2 round holes. But first I'm going to work on the hinge portion of the lock plate. I'm going to start with a set down on the edge of the anvil, and because of the way the stock is shaped, it's going to bend all over the place. So just adjusting it out on the flat of the anvil, make sure it's flat, and then keeping it clean with the wire brush. So I'm going to fast forward on these parts just to show you the whole process. So I'm continuing to forge down the hook of the hinge and adjusting the fish slipping that's happening when it's being drawn down that way. And then I'm going to draw down the bar just a little bit on the tongue and make it a little longer. Once I have the tongue where I want it, I'll center mark the holes, or the spots for the holes that will connect it to the top of the box, and then proceed to punch them. I'm going to start on the corners and round them over. And then once I've done that, flatten it out. And once it heats up again, I'll grab it and forge on the edges of the anvils so that I can bevel it. So I have the lock plate on the anvil now, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm cutting off the edges, the corners, and then beveling all around the sides. So right now I'm going to work on the whole part of the hinge, or the female part. I'm going to punch a 1/4 inch hole in it and then use the punch as a drift to drift the hole just a little bit larger so I can get it onto the horn of my anvil. I'm going to flatten the hole on the face of the anvil and then move to the horn of the anvil, where I'll forge down the corners so into a more rounded shape. Again, getting that bar hot and working those corners down, as well as widening the hole at the same time. So once I have the hole to about the size that I want, I'm going to measure it and make sure it's about the same size as the male part of the hinge, and then mark it and cut it. And again, same like the other parts, I'm going to cut down the corners and then break them off with the hinge, and after that I'll bevel all the sides. I'm going to forge down the sides and make sure there's a nice bevel on each side. So once I have it all beveled, I'll get the male portion of the hinge and put it over into the female portion. Make sure that it works all right, and then carry on with the other projects. There's always a bunch of finicky work to fit up hinges, well, this type of hinge at least, because of how quite sloppy the parts interface. You can see here that I had to actually take off one piece to rearrange the male portion of the hinge, and then I'll get the two of them put back together. So once I get them both working the way I want it, I'm going to cool them both off, and I'm saving the hole for later, but I'll heat them up right now and then put my maker's mark on, and I'll have to do the lock plate right now since I won't be able to do it when the shank is on it. So as you can see, the shank has been tapered on the ends, and I'm using too small of a hammer right here, but I moved up to a ball peen, and we're just going to peen the ends of the shank over on the end of the plate. The wedge shape will keep it wedged up onto the larger part of the bar stock, and the peened over portion, the rivet portion, will keep it locked onto the plate. So I could have pre-peened it a little before I stuck it on there. I'll end up taking it off and heating it up, the whole thing, and then peening both of them over. And the jaws on my vise aren't square, so it's actually clamping down on the bar on the left of the screen more than it is on the right of the screen, so I have to keep adjusting it. And after all of that, I'll heat them up and stick them in beeswax to help prevent rust and to give them nice black coating. On the front of the box, where I riveted over the two pieces, or the two parts of the shank, I'm going to just make a little countersink with it's almost a ½ inch, a little under a ½ inch. And right now I'm just seeing if it'll go into the hole, and I obviously used too small of a drill bit, so I switched to a bigger drill bit, and that'll make a larger countersink so that the face of the plate will be flush with the box. So right now I'm just nail on the plate, and then I'll clench the nails over. I'm using a little 10-pound piece of mild steel as a little anvil so that there's more mass behind the nail. So when I clench it over, it won't back out of the hole. So now I have the male and female part of the hinge lock, and I'm just marking out where I'm going to cut the hole, and then I'm using a cold chisel to cut around the inside face of that. I'm doing this on both the front and the back part of that's the female portion of the hinge, and I'll do that. I'll go around a couple times and then knock it out with a cave chisel. So I just set the vise jaws just as wide as the piece I'm trying to cut out, so that it'll give it the most amount of support. Once I got that done, I'll just break off the piece that's coming out, and then file the inside portion of the hole. So once I got the hole cut out, I'll file it out so that it's nice and smooth and you won't get cut holding it. So I have the lock hinge in place, and I'm going to use the 7/32 inch drill bit to mark out the holes again. Again, you can see it's a sloppy hinge interface, but once you get it 2 or more of these, they lock up and they perform quite well. So I'm just going to use a piece of scrap wood as a backing plate, so it hopefully tears out a little less. The inside part of the top is concave, so it's not actually making contact, but I think it's helping a little bit. So a little cleanup on the holes, and then I'll put the hinge in place, and grab a couple nails and nail it to the top of the hinge, or top of the box. So right now I'm going to prop the lid of the box on the little mild steel anvil that I have, so that I have a backing plate, and then clench the nails over. So it works well. Just the female part flips over and rides right over the shackle, the shank part of the hinge, and I'm able to put a padlock on it. I'm using a nice all brass padlock. So just a demonstration of how it works. Take out the padlock, and you can open up the whole box, take out your tools, use them, and then close up the box and secure it so nobody absconds with your tools. It's a Nice light lid with the hollowing out and the curving. And there's very little slop side to side from the hinges. Maybe quarter of an inch, eighth of an inch to a quarter of an inch slop. Nothing that's going to affect my life very much. So I finished up the box. I've got the hinges on. I got the lock plate on the other side. And it's made out of white oak. All the hinges and stuff were forged by me. And on the front side, we have a lock from the old Bureau, or like old ATF Bureau, BIA. It's a lock that they use for locking up old casks of untaxed or yet to be taxed alcohol that was imported into the country. We have that. We have the lock hinge, which I used a cold chisel to cut out and filed out. And then we have the rod that's peened on the back. I just drilled a couple of countersinks on the back so that it would sit flush on the box. And on the inside, all the nails have been clinched over. And these ones I cut off before I clinched, which I shouldn't have done. It looks better, at least for me, with them all fixed. And nails on the inside over here were clinched over too. And now I can start filling it up with my smithing tools. I've got all my chisels and hand tools right there, and then I've got my touch mark in there right now. But the box itself is finished up. I want to make an attachment for one of the sides. That's like a filing attachment for different things, a little vise basically. But I'll do that in another video. But for now, the video series on making the box is finished up, and I'm pretty happy with that. Again, I just used a tung oil finish. I just dumped the ball in there and it soaked it all up. It was really dry white oak, and I'll probably do another coat after this, so it'll get some more oil into it. But I like it. I like the box. It's nice. Just a simple box. Lock it up, keep the tools safe, and if you could always put handles on yours, but it's actually kind of a safety feature. It makes it harder to carry. So when it's full up with tools, you need at least 2 people to carry it off. So one person can't just take all your tools. But of course, nowadays with the modern power tools, they can just pop these padlocks off in 2 seconds, cut the hinge with an angle grinder, no problem. But for just general locking it up, this is a good box. And just general storage, you don't even need a lock. You can just use the box and just put your tools so that they're organized. I know every smith, well, at least in my experience, pretty dirty workbenches. Just you can tell over here, they're dirty and they're full up with tools. So if they have a home, then the tools might make it back to their home. But I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I had a real fun making this box. This was interesting to make. I hadn't done this kind of mortise and tenon in steel before. All I did was make a cone of this round bar on each side, stuck it through a 7/32 inch about hole that I punched, and then pinned the back of the lock this part, the lock hook, I guess, down. That's the first time I've done that, and seems to be working out all right. And hopefully it'll be a good box. I mean, already I like it. I like how the adze marks give it some undulations to the grain and to the look of the wood. And I like the knottiness of the top. It gives it a good, interesting design. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video segment, and if you have any questions on making your own box, you can shoot me some emails. I definitely think that the angled in trapezoidal shape of the box makes it look a lot better than just if it was square. But I think making it square would still look good, and it would be a heck of a lot easier just to make. So thanks for watching, guys, and leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.